All right. Hello, Internet. My name is Chevie. I have a cute little homestead here in South Washington, and I thought I would do a video introducing more officially my dog. This is Dahlia. She's my sweet baby. She is a Great Pyrenees. She's a livestock guardian dog. I got her when she was 10 weeks old. She was just the cutest, tiniest little floofball you ever did see. She was equally so small and at the same time the biggest puppy I had ever seen. I used to work around a lot of dogs and I've met a lot of puppies, and she's one of the biggest puppies I've ever met. The size of her at 10 weeks was the size of a lot of people's adult dogs. It was just wild. Hi. Don't jump on me. Thank you. Good girl. So the Great Pyrenees is a livestock guardian dog. They're one of I think the most popular one in America. That's mostly because of their very, very good temperament. They're very, very good if you have a family or like lots of kids running around. Dahlia. Hi, good girl. You're so cute. Good girl. And they are a really, really good working dog. So she's bred to live outside. She was born outside. She was born in a barn. She has been living with her working parents since she was born. So for the 10 weeks that the breeder that I got her from had her, she was living out in the pasture with her mom, living with goats and around chickens and all that kind of stuff. And then she came to us, so she was familiar with all of that. She had never been inside of a house before when she first came home with us. There's a lot of different opinions about how to raise a livestock guardian breed. I did bring her inside. I wanted her to be potty trained at the very least, and I wanted her to be comfortable pretty much anywhere. I wanted her to be a very well-rounded dog that was secure, comfortable, and familiar in many, many different environments. And to do that, honestly, it requires treating them more like a pet than like a working dog. When they're little babies, they're just in that socializing time period. And I got her out into town as much as I could. I made sure she met lots of people. She met lots of other dogs. She met all kinds of animals. We have chickens, ducks, turkeys, and goats. She's been around a horse. I don't think she's ever been around a cow. I don't know anyone with cows, so I'll get on that, but don't have any. So if you don't have access to it, you don't have access to it. She was one of the cutest, chillest puppies I've ever had. I was so amazingly impressed at her temperament. I still am. She's about 9 months old right now. So she's going through kind of a naughty phase where she's, acting up a lot, and she's acting out a lot, and not listening very well. She doesn't want to be redirected or corrected in any way, which is fine. It's a very normal age for them to go through that. So I'm kind of just waiting for her to age out of this lovely, lovely time period. All right. Oh, now you're pooping. Okay. Good to know. So I felt really conflicted about getting her from a breeder. I really wanted to try and get a dog from a rescue. I tried for, I think, about 2 years. I really tried to try and get a puppy or a dog who had grown up on a farm from a rescue. It's hard to get puppies from rescues because, of course, they get hundreds and hundreds of applicants, and almost nobody who has a good farm dog wants to give up their farm dog, and they don't normally end up in rescues. They normally get rehomed to, friends of friends of friends of people who need a good farm dog, because there's such a huge market for them, really. I guess market's maybe the wrong word. There's such a huge need for them, like a dog that's secure around livestock and especially around poultry. So I tried really, really hard before I took the route of finding a good breeder, and eventually I caved and I started emailing breeders. I found a really, really nice lady. She's very reputable. She does all sorts of testing. I felt really cool because I could trace back to the other farms that my dogs grandparents came from. So the lady I got her from had obviously purchased her breeding dogs from 2 different farms, or a handful of different farms. She has a couple different breeders. And it was really cool to be able to be like, oh, her grandfather is from one of the farms that I applied to. That's like, there's that small, like, closed loop of like a good breeding market. And I thought that was really interesting, that I'm like, oh, I can look at these like 2 different farms of her grandfather and grandmother, you know what I mean? And like trace back decades basically of her lineage. Super cool. I believe that there is an ideal world and the reality that we live in. And in an ideal world, we would all have dogs that were bred for specific purposes with intensive health testing, and no dog was coming into the world that wasn't expressly needed and wanted, where there is a secure place for them to be. And those jobs can be jobs like companionship. I'm not saying a house dog, isn't doing an amazing service. Dogs are so good for us. They're so healthy. They get us outside. They get us to socialize. They make us laugh. They make us smile. They make us cry. They make us rage. They make us, process emotions, and they largely love us unconditionally. And a companion dog is in many ways just as important as many dogs who do more specific jobs. Unfortunately, we live in a world where that is not the case, and there are, I don't even know, uncountable. There's so many dogs that need homes. So I needed a dog for a very specific purpose, and I wasn't going to find that in a shelter, and I did try. If I ever need a dog for a less specific purpose, like just companionship, I will undoubtedly be getting probably a nice old man from the shelter. Nice old man dog from the shelter. Nice old dude, that's my total vibe. I love old dogs. So before Dahlia, we had a very sweet family dog. My living situation is a little complicated. I live with my brother and my mom. It would probably be more apt to say that both my mom and I both live with our brother. We all kind of live together. One big commune. Big happy family. It's totally fine. It's very normal for us. And my brother had this big, sweet, old, ugly as all heck, beautiful white pit bull. I think he was an American bulldog, but my brother was told by the person he got him from that he was a pit bull, and that's what stuck. I don't think he had a drop of terrier in him personally, but that's just me. What do I know? His name was Wheezy, and he was the sweetest, nicest old dude. I loved him so much. He was like the nanny dog from Peter Pan. He was exactly like the nanny dog from Peter Pan. He was so good with the children. He loved my nephews more than he loved oxygen. He was such a good dog. And he was really, really good with my birds. And I really took him for granted while he was around. He never chased the chickens. He never killed any. He sometimes chased the goats. But I mean, he wasn't a livestock guardian breed, so he did and behaved way better than I could have ever expected. And he did a really, really good job of keeping our property safe from all sorts of predators. We never had any predator problems until after Wheezy was no longer with us. Unfortunately, just by crazy random happenstance, just a couple of weeks after I got Dahlia, when she was just an itty bitty little puppy, Wheezy started declining, and we took him to the vet, and he had cancer. He had tumors around his heart, and we that day had to very unexpectedly put him down. It was terrible. Geez, how do you even put it into words? He wasn't even my dog, and it really sucked. I spent a lot of time with that dog. He came and did chores with me. He hung out with me. If I needed to lock up my animals and the sun had already gone down, I would always take him with me because I knew that he would keep me safe. And I was really counting on him to help me teach the puppy how to not chase the birds and to give her, a dog to play with. So definitely one of the hardest parts about raising Dahlia has been doing it without another dog. It's been hard because, she's a puppy. She wants to play. And I feel like, I'm constantly telling her, no, you're not allowed to play with the goats. You're not allowed to play with the chickens. You're not really allowed to play with me, not in the way that she wants to, right? I'm not going to roll around with her. You're not allowed to play with the children. She's not allowed to jump on my nephews. And that's a lot of self-control to put such a young dog through. And it would have been so much easier if I had had a buddy for her to just be able to play with. You know what I mean? And so that's been the hardest part about raising her, is not having the help that I was really, really counting on having from Wheezy. Gosh, he's such a good dog. Oh my goodness gracious. And he was such a good protector. He was the scariest looking dog you'd ever seen. This was a dog that if you didn't know him, you would be like, that dog's gonna kill me. And people who didn't know, and we live out in the boonies, so we live out in the middle of nowhere, where, anything could happen. And it's actually really nice to have a kind of scary looking dog who is also zero liability. He didn't have a mean bone in his body. You know what I mean? Love him so much. So I'm really trying to create that same kind of equation with Dahlia, which is why I take her out into town with me. I have her meet lots of people. She meets lots of dogs. Good girl. Speak of the devil. You're all dirty. And I'm trying to create as nuanced and happy of a dog as we had with Wheezy. Good girl. A good guard dog who's going to keep my animals safe from coyotes and cougars and bears and all that kind of exciting stuff. Very real possibilities out here where we live. But also be, zero liability. That's really what I'm shooting for. That's my goal. So, it's actually kind of funny that I got a puppy. I don't really like puppies that much. They're, you good? You gonna make it? They're a lot of work and they're loud and they never stop and they never slow down. I felt really lucky with this puppy because, like I said, she really was undoubtedly one of the calmest puppies I've ever met. And I'm not just saying that. I'm really not. People would be like, how old is she? All the time, because she's always looks a lot older than she is. So she's about 9 months old right now, and she looks like a full grown, golden retriever type size dog. She looks full grown. You wouldn't assume that she was a puppy until you see her maybe act a little goofy, or if you're very good at telling by the size of their paws, because she hasn't fully grown into her feet yet. She's still got big feet, big dog. Good girl. I guess this is on me. I never sit in a chair out here. You don't jump on me. I don't like that. So in terms of my expectations and how I'm doing with this puppy, for right now, she's still, in my head, a baby. She's just getting to that age where she's showing some really strong protective instincts. She's really barking at stuff. I feel more secure with having her out here 24/7. We don't, on our property, we don't currently have a good perimeter fence. So you'll notice that she's always on a leash. She's always on a long lead. One of the biggest downsides, I would say it's a downside to Great Pyrenees, is that they wander. They love to wander. Their, ancient breed ancestors were bred to guard hundreds and hundreds of acres, and I don't have hundreds of acres. So in terms of what my goals are for her, my goal is to have her trustworthy enough with all the livestock that eventually when we move and we put in that big fancy perimeter fence, I will able to just let her roam free within the perimeter fence. Absolutely no idea what that's going to look like. I don't know where we're going. There's, not even a hint of that future, but that is my eventual goal, is to be able to let her loose in a big perimeter fenced in secure area, secure for a Great Pyrenees. They are notorious escape artists because they want to roam. They see that land over there, they go, that land's practically mine. I'm gonna go check it out, whether or not they should be. Chewing on a feather. And so problems that I've had with her, no dog is born being a perfect poultry guard dog. Every single livestock guardian breed, every single livestock guardian dog has to be trained to be around poultry. Sometimes they get it automatically. Some dogs are, they understand and they can practice and exercise that control and they're totally good. Some dogs have to mature a little bit and they inch their way slowly, inch by inch. I would say she's closer to the second. She does really, really well compared to most, normal dogs, like any kind of Labrador or Retriever, or goodness gracious, like a pointer. So I think she does pretty good. When she is not under my control or on a lead, she obviously does worse. So she does need to practice making good choices even when nobody is there to encourage her to make those good choices or stop her from making those bad choices. And the way that I kind of describe it to people is that even if she's 90% good, which I would argue she's pretty close to that. She's going through kind of a naughty phase right now, but that's very normal for this age time. But even when she is close to 90%, that 10% has deadly consequences. That 10% means, a dead bird. And what's hard about the whole thing is that from a dog's perspective, chasing birds is fun. It's very, very fun. You get a big rush. They run when you chase them. They make big, loud, squawky noises. That's fun. And then if you catch one, and it's fun to chew on them. It's fun to pull out their feathers. So some struggles that I've had with her is that in situations where she's either gotten out of her pen or a chicken has gotten into her pen, there have been some deadly consequences. I'm not super, I was upset. Definitely. She killed my favorite chicken, actually. I was very upset about that. I wasn't upset at her. Dogs don't understand when you're upset at them. If you don't catch them in the act, you can't yell at them after the fact. It just doesn't work. I was very upset, though. She was my only bird, my only chicken that had a name. R.I.P. Tonks. She's also one of the only chickens I buried on the farm. I don't usually bury my chickens because I think it's kind of a biohazard if you don't do it just right. And our soil is so clay-like that, it's hard to do it just right. So we have had some deadly consequences. That 10%, does have deadly consequences. And a lot of that, I know she's just going to outgrow. She's not chasing them because she wants to chase. She's chasing them because she's bored or because they're in a confined space and then she gets bored. So I know that eventually, as I keep training her and I keep socializing her and I keep working with her, she's going to be at that 100% mark. I feel it in my bones. I see it in her mannerisms. She's so good so much of the time. It's just about that small percentage where she still makes a mistake. And that's okay. She's still a baby. I think some people have had better success and other people have had much worse success. So, and I recognize that the way that I'm doing this, have her on a lead, I am in many ways making it more difficult for her because she doesn't get a lot of practice not chasing the birds when she is not on any kind of lead. A lot of that kind of maturity and impulse control, it's just going to come with time. I'm fine with it. I'm patient. I have her pretty contained. We have a really good routine going on. She does all of my chores with me, and she spends the rest of the day outside in her pen that's right next to the goat pen. So I have, right now, honestly, my goats are just free ranging. We're right in the middle of fixing the goat pen fence. So there's a big goat pen, and then there's a smaller dog pen, and then my chickens just free roam. And that's been working for us really, really well. Once my goat pen is all the way fixed and the fences are up, I hope to put her in there with them so she can get more training running off the leash with the goats and practice that impulse control. She does a pretty good job with them, but I would like to get her in there and have more practice at that. Probably still while I'm around though, because I don't think it's helpful to let her practice bad habits. So I groom Dahlia pretty regularly. I brush her a couple of times a week. I use a mixture of a rake and a slicker brush. That's mostly it. I'm going to be getting I think they're called, I don't know, like a mat comb. I know there's a comb out there that has like a little blade on the inside of it where you can kind of rake it through them. It's not the rake, it's slightly different. So I'm going to be getting that. She hasn't, she's nowhere close to blowing her coat yet, but I know that in the springtime she's going to blow her coat and it's going to be crazy. Looking forward to it, honestly. It's going to be fun. I really like brushing her and she's very, very good about it. So I find it to be very soothing and satisfying to brush a dog. I struggle with her getting mats right around the back of her ears. Hey, sweet girl. Come here. Like right in here. Right back here. Like not directly next to her ears, honestly, but more in this like upper jowl area. She got a lot of silkies there and you don't think about them as much. And so they get a little bit more forgotten sometimes when I'm brushing her or working through her mats just with my fingers. So my long-term goal for Dahlia is to have her in with the stock, and I would really, really like to get to the point where I basically think of her as another goat. I want her to be completely trustworthy with all of my livestock, and I also want her to be very, very well-rounded out in the real world. So I do take her out into public with me very frequently. I take her to dog parks when I can. I don't live close to very many of them, so I don't take her to them as much as I would like to. We do have a couple really nice ones around here though. And I take her inside, so she comes in and hangs out inside with me. I take her on road trips. She loves riding in the car. I've heard a lot of people's Great Pyrenees don't like riding in the car. It just takes time. She didn't like it the first like 10 times, and then she eventually warmed up to it, and now she knows that a car ride means a really, really fun adventure where lots of strangers are going to pet her, and she loves getting pets from strangers. We have a very, very crowded, busy house. A lot of people live here. A lot of people come and visit here. We have a huge family. So I needed her to be primo good with strangers. I don't want her protecting us from people. Just in any context, I don't. I would rather somebody come and steal all my goats than my dog bite somebody. And that's just my personal opinion. Maybe that's just me. But that's the truth. No, we're not doing that. Oh, jeez. You were being so naughty. I'm like, oh, here, let's make a video about how nice my dog is. And then she's acting like crazy. Look at this. She never does this. She's also the most gentle-mouthed dog I've ever met my entire life. She's never even come close to biting me. Not even close. She'll put her whole mouth on me I think I caught that on camera. But she doesn't bite down in the slightest. She's got the gentlest, softest mouth. It's so sweet. Good girl. She's a menace with those paws. The Great Pyrenees, the pure paw. It's such a thing. A menace. She's crazy with her paws. She'll grab and steal things. And she'll dig into your leg and it hurts really bad. Ugh. That sweet doof. She's my sweet girl. We still have a ways yet until she's completely trustworthy. I realize that I'm doing this in a probably slightly roundabout way. It would probably be much easier if I had a better perimeter fence and I could let her off leash more often. She would have way more practice at being good with all the poultry and exercising control and just making good choices, not choices being made for her. It's a very nuanced difference, but it is a difference. And instead of being able to practice all those skills, I'm kind of just waiting for her to grow up and be a little bit more mature, which is totally fine. It just takes longer. So I know she's going to be a really, really great livestock guardian dog. She is really, really great with my nephews. She barks at all the right things. She's very familiar with all the going-ons on our little property. She does really, really well sleeping outside, and she does really well hanging out inside. So far, she's turning into exactly what I wanted, which was a very well-rounded farm dog. I'm very, very grateful to have her in my life. I'm even more grateful to take advantage of her stunning beauty for so many thumbnails. I'm going to be exploiting the gosh darn heck out of this dog for her unabashed beauty. She is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Every stranger that we meet goes on and on and on about her objective, impossible fluffiness. She's getting to that size now where instead of people being like, oh, she's so cute and fluffy, now they're going, oh, she's so big and fluffy. And that's been a really fun transition. She's a menace at coffee shops because she knows the smell of coffee means that she's getting a treat. She, you know, is still a puppy. But I'm very, very grateful to have her with me. I love her to pieces. I would do anything for her. And thank you for hanging out with me while I talk about my adorable Dahlia. Who's Dahlia like the flower? Because she's pretty like a flower. Oh, sweet girl. Everybody loves Dahlia. That's what I say. So thank you for hanging out with me, Internet. I'll see you later.